Coming up next on this special Arizona Education edition of Arizona Horizon, we'll talk about the issue of mounting college debt and hear about efforts to get more girls into science and engineering education and careers. Those stories next on this special edition of Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your PBS station. Thank you.
Good evening and welcome to this special Arizona Education edition of Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. We start by examining college debt. It's a growing problem for many. The latest government data shows, on average, a college student will graduate $31,000 in debt. That's up 10% from 2014. While many companies offer partial tuition reimbursement, Starbucks has teamed with ASU to create a plan that results in no out-of-pocket tuition costs. Producer Shauna Fisher and photographer Langston Fields explain how the Starbucks College Achievement Plan is helping baristas earn bachelor's degrees.
Jake, I have your grande cappuccino.
One cup at a time, Kiana Hall is getting closer to her dream.
Well, I'm able to get my schooling done again, which is really nice. And I will be the first out of my siblings to graduate from college too, which is really what keeps me motivated and stuff.
Kiana is one of 3,900 Starbucks employees taking part in the College Achievement Plan. Started in 2014, the plan is a partnership between the coffee giant and ASU. It covers the cost of tuition for any of the 50 online undergraduate degrees.
At the end of the day, 50% of the students who begin university education in the U.S. don't complete.
Philip Regier is ASU's Dean for Education Initiatives. He says the College Achievement Plan closes a growing gap in America's college system.
A lot of those students have every ability to complete, but life happens. Something gets in the way. They get crosswise with financial aid. A parent dies. They have a child. And a lot of what we try and do in the Starbucks College Achievement Plan is reach out to those students who may have started other places, who are now working at Starbucks, and allow them to complete a university degree.
As with much of Starbucks employee benefits, the idea is rooted in CEO Howard Schultz's childhood.
When I look at these kids, it's very personal for me. I grew up in Brooklyn in federally subsidized housing. My dad never made more than $20,000 a year, and I saw firsthand the fracturing of the American dream. And so I want to try and pay it forward. I want to try and make a difference and try and use the platform of Starbucks and the scale of Starbucks to make a positive difference.
Schultz says he found a like-minded partner in ASU President Michael Crow, and together they worked out a plan to offer the 300,000 Starbucks partners worldwide an opportunity at a college education.
We also found out in our own company that 70% of our own employees had been to school and didn't finish, did not have a college tuition, and the primary reason was college debt. So how could we overcome that?
Starbucks partner Natalia Bednarska just graduated from ASU in December with a degree in health sciences.
So with my degree, I hope to open up my own business one day and work in the corporate world teaching people how to be healthy.
Natalia left the University of Arizona after 1 year to come to ASU. She was shattered when she found out her scholarships wouldn't transfer. Unable to afford the tens of thousands she would need to graduate, she learned about the plan and signed up right away.
It would be silly not to take advantage of it, and I think that everybody should, strive for what they want, and by taking the College Achievement Plan into consideration, they can do that.
For Natalia, graduating is a tremendous accomplishment. She moved to the United States from Poland when she was 8 years old. She had always dreamed of going to college and knew money would be tight.
So the day that I graduated, my parents were extremely excited for me. My whole family was. They actually came to visit and we threw a big party, and it was really exciting to see everybody happy for me and being able to see a better future for myself.
Regier says the end game for the ASU Starbucks program is not just about the tuition help.
So by allowing Starbucks partners to receive degrees from ASU, what we're allowing those students to do is ultimately have higher lifetime incomes. They'll be able to change jobs and move into positions that will allow them to progress throughout their career. They're going to live longer, they're going to be happier, they're going to be able to commit more to their communities, they're going to be able to make better public policy decisions than students who only have high school diplomas.
Creating the College Achievement Plan has taken a lot of effort and money. Neither ASU nor Starbucks would reveal just how much, but Regier says a lot of the startup cost is infrastructure, creating technology that allows Starbucks and ASU to work together and provide a seamless experience for students. The process begins when a Starbucks partner goes to the website to sign up for the plan. A trained ASU counselor works with the partner to help determine if they qualify for federal financial aid and ASU scholarships. Whatever is not covered is paid for by Starbucks. The money only covers tuition. The student has to pay for books, housing, and other college necessities. And there are requirements to get the money. You must be a full-time student and work at least 20 hours a week at Starbucks. On average, Regier says a student can save thousands a year.
These students have a huge incentive to complete. Where else are you going to be able to essentially receive a university education without having to pay any tuition? And so that incentive really allows a student to focus more both on their work, because they understand the importance of their work, and their schoolwork. And I think they're very appreciative of the opportunity. And what we've seen is that the Starbucks students do slightly better and retain at a higher rate than students we recruit on the open market, as you will.
Critics argue the Starbucks program is limiting, forcing students to attend just one college, and they're quick to point out students who need income assistance often do better with in-person classes than online. Kiana and Natalia admit there are, of course, challenges. Because it is an online program, they had to be self-starters when it came to getting schoolwork done. But both agree it didn't take long for them to buckle down. And Kiana says she even gained the added benefit of being a role model.
Actually, my sister started school again shortly after I started, so that kind of made me happy. Like, she's getting her foot in the door too, and, starting to do it after, I did it.
For Schultz, stories like that only reinforce that he's doing the right thing by his employees.
A week does not go by where I have not run into a Starbucks person, got a letter, received a letter from a parent with a very emotional expression of gratitude about what this benefit has meant to them.
It's going to be one of those things where I just, finally let out that breath and I'm done. And it's just going to be a really good day when that happens. I'm going to be really excited. Thank you. Have a good day.
Regier says the ASU Starbucks plan can serve as a model to other large corporations looking to help shrink the tuition debt issue. By 2025, Starbucks hopes 25,000 of its partners will graduate with degrees from ASU. I spoke about the variety of ways to finance higher education with Melissa Pizzo, the Executive Director for ASU's Financial Aid and Scholarship Services, and Felicia Ganther, Associate Vice Chancellor for Student Affairs from the Maricopa County Community College District. Good to have you both here. Thanks for joining us. Thank you. It's increasingly tough to pay for college right now. Talk to us about the variety of ways out there to help folks.
Sure. What you heard in the video is obviously one example, and that's a very formalized program. There are local employers that are here in the Valley and throughout the state that may have similar opportunities for students, and we always encourage students work with your families and understand what the employer may offer. We of course want to make sure students and families know, first and foremost, fill out the free application for federal student aid, the FAFSA. That's what's going to help a student become available for federal financial aid, and then colleges and schools throughout the country. Obviously, us here locally, we use that information as well to determine what additional financial aid they may be able to receive from the institution. There are also some other components from that information that's provided that we can determine, are there other resources available to them that can be used to help pay for college.
As far as we know, how do most students pay for college?
Well, I think that most students utilize some form of financial aid through federal funding or through student loans as well. There are a lot of students whose parents or themselves are employed by corporations, organizations that provide funding for them to attend college. And then there are just some folks who come right out of the pocket and pay for it if they can't afford it.
If they need financial aid, where can they get the information and where can they find it?
Well, I would always recommend they start with fafsa.ed.gov. That's the first start. You need to determine whether or not you qualify based upon your family's earned income, whether you qualify for federal funding. That's important. It's also the gateway to other scholarships that may be available to them. which could include both private and public organizations, and so students should start there.
It's interesting, with grants and scholarships, I mean, we're talking about student debt. No student debt with grants and scholarships, is there?
Correct. A grant and a scholarship is what we refer to as gift aid. So a student does not need to pay that back. So those are great sources that can be used to help offset the costs of attending.
And because loan and work study, those kinds of things, those do have to be repaid.
Yeah, and work study, right? Work study, you're working on campus, right? You don't have to have federal work study in order to be employed on campus. For example, ASU employs more than 12,000 students on any of our campus locations at any given point in time. But to use an example, if a student were working and getting paid minimum wage, $8.05 an hour, we recommend 20 hours per week, nothing more than that, right? And if a student is working over the course of an academic year, that can be about $4,800. So that can help really contribute to the costs of college.
And we're talking about tuition a lot, but that's not the only cost of going to college. You got housing, you got food, you got books, you got life.
You have life, exactly. So what we recommend is that for students to take a look at what is it going to take for them to attend either part-time or full-time. There are going to be fees and costs that are going to be associated with attending. You know, for students interested in very specific types of occupations, there may be additional things that they would need to purchase in order to be successful in those types of courses. But we also encourage the student to think about how could their family help them out? What are some of the things that their families could assist them with? Or what could their employers assist them with? And sometimes the cost is time. They need time to go to class. They need time to be able to study.
As far as low-income students, I know at community colleges, lots of low-income students go there, start there, and move on. The non-tuition costs, just the general cost. Talk about the challenges there.
I think the challenges for those who come from underserved environments is that you have to balance going to school with other necessities. You know, you have lights, you have transportation costs, you have child care costs, those types of things. And so it's important to take a look at that before you jump head in, because you don't want to get mid-semester through and not have any plans in place that will support you while you're going to college. So it's definitely important. But the one thing that I think about underserved environments, students that come from underserved environments, is that if they qualify for federal financial aid, they will take into account those costs of living. And so the student will receive some type of a stipend that would assist them with those.
For those students who do take out loans, who do wind up having debt, everything we read in the headlines, student debt is a major problem out there. Is that what you're seeing?
Not necessarily. Loans can be a resource that can be used to help pay for college. There are obviously the national averages. We encourage students and families to understand what is the borrowing rate at the college or university that you're looking at. And if you were to look at Arizona State University and our graduates, upon graduation, what is that average indebtedness? And it's closer to about $14,000. So those national averages, again, are taking a lot of people into consideration. They're taking into consideration, you need to be aware, is that just for students receiving their first degree, their bachelor's degree, or students who are pursuing a master's or graduate work also included in those figures?
So with that in mind, your advice to students, advice to parents on the cost of college, what do you tell them?
Make an informed decision, and the best way to do that is to look at all of the schools you're looking at attending and submit the FAFSA. Put your hat in the ring to be considered for financial aid, and once you've received that financial aid award and notification from the school that you're looking at, then make your decision about the best academic and financial fit. So make sure you have all the information in front of you, make sure you have the ability to compare those costs against institutions that you're looking at, so you know what is going to be covered by financial aid and what is the expectation of the family and the student and what needs to be paid out of pocket.
Beyond FAFSA, again, advice to students, advice to parents. For some of the underserved kids, this is the first time anyone in the family has gone to college. What do you tell them?
Well, the first thing I would say is go to your counselors at your schools. They have information that will help you to be successful in your transition to college. The second thing is there are scholarships, there are community foundations. Arizona Community Foundation has a scholarship website. All of the universities and colleges in the state have websites as well.
Next, we look at a unique program from Southwest Airlines that combines STEM education and aviation training. Producer Shauna Fisher introduces us to the Adopt a Pilot program that helps students take flight.
What do those fan blades do? Go ahead, Josh.
These fan blades suck in air, so that way when all the fuel comes in, and so when the air and fuel mix together, it creates combustion, which propels the plane forward.
Captain Nancy Martin-Balitz has spent the last semester teaching these fifth graders math and science using her knowledge as a pilot. And now it's their turn to show her they were listening.
About 25 years ago, a woman approached me as she was leaving our aircraft. I was just greeting the passengers, saying goodbye to the passengers. And she says, wow, a woman pilot. She said, was there any chance that you would come to my elementary school? I'm an elementary school teacher, and possibly inspire or talk with the children. And I said, I'd love to.
Out of that simple conversation, Southwest Airlines started its Adopt a Pilot program. Pilots across the country adopt a fifth grade class and visit 3 to 5 times in the semester. The airline supplies a syllabus, workbooks, and materials for science projects. Today, the students from El Dorado Private School are on a field trip at Sky Harbor International Airport.
And we're doing a tour at the hangar of the aircraft. We've talked to the kids about how these wings produce lift, so we're going to let them touch, feel the engines, get inside, show them the cockpit. We've talked about some of the instruments and what we use, so I'll get each of the kids in the seat and let them pretend that they're a pilot as well for a bit. I'll let them talk on the PA and have some fun talking on the microphone through the cabin. Maybe even let them crawl in the baggage bins and the cargo bins.
While the students examine the plane, it's also a chance to revisit the concepts Captain Martin-Balitz taught them.
Well, I used to think math is just some useless, some things that you just oh, I have to memorize this. Now it's sort of useful because everyone uses the measurements and the thrust and speed and altitude.
After a tour of the outside of the plane, the students head inside.
So this is our hydraulic and navigation panel.
For Joshua Branton, who wants to be a pilot when he grows up, seeing the cockpit up close is a dream come true.
Well, what it's like is essentially, it feels like you're driving the car. It kind of feels like as if though you're in control, there's so much. You'd think it'd be harder to fly, but it actually is really easy.
900 Southwest Airlines pilots participate each year in the program. They share their flight schedule with the classes and send postcards from the cities they fly to. And they find new ways to engage the students. Captain Glenn Roberts also flies helicopters. Each year he lands his chopper on the school field to give his students a look at a different part of aviation. Back at Southwest's hangar, the kids are wrapping up their tour with a look at what the in-cabin flight crew does. They also get to practice some of the Southwest Airlines flight attendants' trademark humor.
If you're traveling with someone who needs an assistance,
Like your husband.
The end goal of this program is to show kids math and science are in every vocation, especially aviation.
well, it truly comes together to form this. It's actually quite interesting how all this comes to form this. It's really amazing.
Captain Martin-Balitz hopes to inspire something deeper in her students. 4% of pilots flying for Southwest Airlines are female. But Captain Martin-Balitz says doing your best and achieving your dreams have little to do with gender.
What I say to young girls to encourage them to achieve their dreams, the same thing I say to the young boys. To be grateful for what you have, to be honest, to be kind, and then to choose your goal. Believe in yourself. Just never give up on that.
The Adopt a Pilot program celebrates its 20th anniversary next year. Check out the website on your screen if you'd like to learn more about the program and to arrange for a pilot to visit your school. Many involved in STEM education are working to get more girls in science and engineering programs and careers. I talked more about the topic with Tiru Palavan Ganesh, Assistant Dean of Engineering for Education at ASU's Ira A. Fulton Schools of Engineering, Monica Crowder, a STEM science specialist in the Kyrene School District, and Gabriel Escontrias, manager of ASU's Center for Gender Equity in Science and Technology. We want to get more girls in STEM education, science, technology, engineering, and math. Why?
So, engineering requires creativity and innovation. If you have the same people at the table designing solutions that the world will use, it's not going to bring in the creativity that other people could have brought to the table if you don't have them sitting at the table designing these solutions. So if you have women at the table doing it with the others at the table, then you then have the opportunity to say, here's creativity that's being driven by diversity.
It sounds as though there's a Forbes magazine report showing that there's been no growth in STEM jobs for women since really about 2000 or so. Why is that? What's going on out there?
So one of the issues Ganesh talked about is, we're designing products, but we're also designing them for women. So we say that we have a leaky pipeline in STEM education. So I know they've done a lot of research on that. So part of it is, like, we think about the pilot. Girls could see her, and if they can see her, they're more likely to be like her. So part of the problem is if we don't have females in positions like professors or in the sciences and math teaching them, women are less likely to probably stay in that field.
Is that the reason why women are historically underrepresented in these kinds of fields? It starts really from early education, mentors, symbols, etc.?
So I think there's a variety of issues as to why women maybe don't go directly into the field, why they don't persist in the field. And I think, as Ganesh was saying, we need to let women know and also be empowered to know that by being in this field, you are bringing your lens and you are bringing your creativity to it, to how you address solutions. So it's really being solution oriented. But in addition, when we look at other factors, they are socialized sometimes, not to have those role models. So it is important to make sure that you have mentors, that you build the culture and environment in your companies to actually make sure that everyone at the table is going to be successful. Because it's very difficult to be at a table and not have anyone that looks like you or thinks like you, or anyone that you can actually feel like you're part of a team.
Is education also a factor here? Or do teachers, educators, do they need to kind of change the idea, change the paradigm, if you will, of how you teach kids?
Absolutely. We need to be doing a lot more to help children enjoy science that they study in school. So making sure the children are actively doing science and understanding what it means to learn what they're learning and how it's relevant to society so they can make meaning out of it. When we're simply telling you, learn these facts because you're going to be tested on it, it's not going to result in deep understanding of the concepts. So that's one thing you could change.
And kind of Ganesh referred to this earlier as well, the idea of maybe combining disciplines, maybe a little bit of art with science, or just changing things.
So we often refer to it as STEAM, and you integrate the arts because you're designing, you're creating, you're learning by making. So I think that has an appeal for children and adults. And I think the key is, like you said, start them young. I like that the pilot had 5th graders. Yeah. So sometimes we think, oh, we'll catch them in high school, and often I think that's too late. I would say we should start as early as preschool and kindergarten.
Well, that's a good question. From where you sit, when does it seem like girls, all of a sudden, maybe they were just powerhouses there in elementary school, the early grades, all of a sudden it just seems to drift away?
In middle school, even though they're scoring as high, if not higher, than the boys, I think it's a socialization piece that it becomes, what am I going to do with my life, and is this something that I can picture a girl doing? Is this something that a normal girl would do, being an engineer or being a scientist? And the more they can see role models like the pilot, I think the more likely they are to associate it with and figure out that this might be something that they're interested in doing.
Well, and then just to add to that, we definitely do need to start in middle school, and before that, because if we lose the girls at that point, they're going to become deficient when they arrive in high school. They're not going to take the right courses that they need to be competitive when they enter college and when they apply to engineering degrees, aerospace, or any of the degrees that they really wanted to do. So if we're able to work with them earlier on and make sure that they're empowered, that their parents are also involved and engaged in the process, and the parents are going to know what to require of these young ladies to make sure that they're preparing them for college and for the field that they want to go into.
Yeah. And I know ASU has a program, Young Engineers Shape the World. What is this all about?
So this is a new effort that we are launching in area high schools, and the goal is to recruit young women and men, but the aim is to actually focus on women so they can see what the possibilities are outside of what they know. If you don't know what engineers do, how are you going to choose that as a profession? So the idea is to help work with them for 2 years in a row when they're in 11th and 12th grade. So by the time they leave 12th grade, they're confident, they know that they can achieve a degree in engineering and a career in engineering, and work with industry partners to actually make it possible for them to see what an engineering workplace looks like and what the byproducts of engineering are that impact society.
And it sounds like that is key as far as getting them engaged and keeping them engaged is just basically seeing that they can be engaged, correct?
I agree. And we talk about, Ganesh and I have worked together, we talk about the importance of solving a real problem. So that's part of it. What problem do you want to solve? And having them apply their skills to solving an interesting problem. It makes it engaging for all kids, not just women.
And that's also what we've been able to do. So CompuGirls, which is a program that we have in our capacity building arm of the center, has been around for 10 years. We'll be celebrating 10 years next semester. But that's one of the things that we focus on is the social justice component. Because regardless of where the young lady's coming from, there's something they can solve. And there's something that they can use the technologies that they learn through our curriculum to solve that problem. And then that allows them to be invested.
So I guess bottom line, early exposure, major, mentoring, major, correct?
Absolutely. And knowing that you can do it, having the self-confidence, having the self-efficacy that you can become an engineer, you can achieve this and make a difference in people's lives.
And last question for you. Do you deal with parents yeah, but I mean, who don't get it themselves?
Yes, sometimes. So you'll hear things like, I'm just not good in math. And you tend to hear that more from females. And I'm like, no, it's a skill that you can learn. So for parents, like sometimes they'll offer suggestions. So excellent camps that they can attend at ASU, or we have in Kyrene, we have after-school programs, and the toys you select. It starts young.
All right. So are you last question? You encouraged about this? You seeing more girls?
We definitely do, and we see a lot more districts partnering with us because we run our programs in the schools.
That is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us on this special edition of Arizona Horizon. You have a great evening.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of 8, members of your Arizona PBS station. Thank you.
Helios Education Foundation is proud to underwrite Arizona Education, a 12-month series highlighting the issues affecting college and career readiness of our students. Through a decade of strategic partnerships, Helios is working to change lives and strengthen communities through education.